The 1975 to 1976 NBA season was the 30th season of the National Basketball Association. The season began on October 23, 1975 and ended on April 11, 1976. Larry O'Brien begins his tenure as the league's third commissioner, replacing Walter Kennedy. The Kansas City Omaha Kings are renamed the Kansas City Kings as they settle into a permanent home in Kansas City, Missouri. A stunning trade took place with the Milwaukee Bucks sending Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to the Lakers for Elmore Smith, Brian Winters, Junior Bridgman, and Dave Myers. The number 1 draft pick was David Thompson, selected by the Atlanta Hawks. Spot World, welcome to NBA Rap. Some people have been telling me they want a little bit of my juice in the videos, not just straight facts. So we're going to start doing that from now on. I got some Taco Bell here. Let me know if you want some. Let me know if you want. I know y'all be eating Taco Bell. Y'all watch ball. With that being said, those are some quick facts about the season. Let's get into team records. Leading the league in the West were the Golden State Warriors with a 59-win, 23-loss record, followed by the Seattle Supersonics 43-39, Phoenix Suns 42-40, Milwaukee Bucks 38-44, and Detroit Pistons 36-46. Missing the playoffs were the Los Angeles Lakers 40-42, Portland Trail Blazers 37-45, Kansas City Kings 31-51, and Chicago Bulls 24-58. The East was led by the Boston Celtics with a 54-win, 28-loss record, followed by the Cleveland Cavaliers 49-33, Washington Bullets 48-34, Philadelphia 76ers 46-36, and Buffalo Braves 46-36. Missing the playoffs were the Houston Rockets 40-42, New York Knicks 38-44, New Orleans Jazz 38-44, and the Atlanta Hawks 29-53. Let's get into our season leaders and all-star game. The scoring leader of the season went to Bob McAdoo of the Buffalo Braves, averaging 31.1 points per game. The rebounds leader, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 16.9 rebounds per game. The assist leader, Slick Watts of the Seattle Supersonics, averaging 8.1 assists per game. The steals leader, Slick Watts of the Seattle Supersonics, averaging 13.8 steals per game. Who is Slick Watts? He's slick. Blocks leader, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 4.1 blocks per game. The 1976 NBA All-Star Game was played at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, with the Eastern Conference beating the Western Conference 123-109. It was the 26th edition of the event. Dave Bing of the Washington Bullets went home with the game's MVP, finishing with 16 points and 4 assists. That's pretty calm, but hey, I guess that's all you needed this year. The Eastern Conference All-Stars were Walt Frazier of the New York Knicks, Dave Bing and Elvin Hayes of the Washington Bullets, Bob McAdoo and Randy Smith of the Buffalo Braves, JoJo White, John Havlicek, and Dave Cowens of the Boston Celtics, Doug Collins and George McGinnis of the Philadelphia 76ers, Rudy Tomjanovich of the Houston Rockets, and John Drew of the Atlanta Hawks. They were coached by Tom Heinsohn of the Boston Celtics. The Western Conference All-Stars were Nate Archibald and Scott Wedman of the Kansas City Kings, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of the Los Angeles Lakers, Bob Dandridge and Brian Winters of the Milwaukee Bucks, Rick Barry, Jamal Wilkes, and Phil Smith of the Golden State Warriors, Norm Van Leer of the Chicago Bulls, Fred Brown of the Seattle Supersonics, Alvin Adams of the Phoenix Suns, and Curtis Rowe of the Detroit Pistons. They were coached by Al Attles of the Golden State Warriors. Spot World, you know we need that Rookie of the Year award, so just hit that like button, hit that sub button. It's risky, man. Let's get to our award winners. The MVP of the season went to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 27.7 points per game, 5 assists per game, and 16.9 rebounds per game. The Rookie of the Year, Alvin Adams of the Phoenix Suns, averaging 19 points per game, 5.6 assists per game, and 9.1 rebounds per game. Coach of the Year went to Bill Fitch of the Cleveland Cavaliers. On the All-NBA First Team, Rick Barry of the Golden State Warriors, averaging 21 points per game, 6.1 assists per game, and 6.1 rebounds per game. George McGinnis of the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 23 points per game, 4.7 assists per game, and 12.6 rebounds per game. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 27.7 points per game, 5 assists per game, and 16.9 rebounds per game. Nate Archibald of the Kansas City Kings, averaging 24.8 points per game, 7.9 assists per game, and 2.7 rebounds per game. Pete Maravich of the New Orleans Jazz, averaging 25.9 points per game, 5.4 assists per game, and 4.8 rebounds per game. On the All-NBA Second Team, Elvin Hayes of the Washington Bullets, averaging 19.8 points per game, 1.5 assists per game, and 11 rebounds per game. John Havlicek of the Boston Celtics, averaging 17 points per game, 3.7 assists per game, and 4.1 rebounds per game. Dave Cowens of the Boston Celtics, averaging 19 points per game, 4.2 assists per game, and 16 rebounds per game. Randy Smith of the Buffalo Braves, averaging 21.8 points per game, 5.9 assists per game, and 5.1 rebounds per game. And Phil Smith of the Golden State Warriors, averaging 20 points per game, 4.4 assists per game, and 4.6 rebounds per game. Making the NBA All-Rookie team, Alvin Adams of the Phoenix Suns, Joe Merriweather of the Houston Rockets, Lionel Hollins of the Portland Trailblazers, John Shoemate of the Phoenix Suns, and Gus Williams of the Golden State Warriors. Making the NBA All-Defensive team, Norm Van Leer of the Chicago Bulls, Slick Watts of the Seattle Supersonics, and Paul Silas, John Havlicek, and Dave Cowens of the Boston Celtics. They was clamping up. Making the NBA All-Defensive second team, Jim Brewer and Jim Clemens of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Jamal Wilkes and Paul Smith of the Golden State Warriors, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of the Los Angeles Lakers. Let's take it to the most important part of the season, the playoffs. And let me ask you something important. Just leave a comment real quick. Come on, man. It don't take nothing. Just type something up real quick. Come on. This year's playoffs began on April 13, 1976 and ended on June 6. This year's playoffs went from April 13th to June 6, 1976. This is the most recent NBA playoffs that did not include a sweep. In the Eastern Conference first round, the Buffalo Braves defeated the Philadelphia 76ers 2-1. In the Western Conference first round, the Detroit Pistons beat the Milwaukee Bucks 2-1. In the Eastern Conference semifinals, the Boston Celtics defeated Buffalo 4-2, and the Cleveland Cavaliers won in 7 over the Washington Bullets. In the Western Conference semifinals, the Golden State Warriors defeated the Detroit Pistons 4-2. The Phoenix Suns won over the Seattle Supersonics 4-2. In the Eastern Conference Finals, Boston defeated Cleveland 4-2 to move on to the finals. And in the West, Phoenix defeated Golden State in 7 games to advance to the finals. The 1976 finals began on May 23rd, featuring the Boston Celtics versus the Phoenix Suns. Game 1 saw Dave Cowens recording a triple-double with 25 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists to power the Celtics to a 98-87 win. Phoenix lost their 12th game in a row at Boston Garden as Boston put the game away with a 20-2 run at the start of the third quarter that gave them a 72-43 lead. John Havlicek didn't start the game due to a heel injury, but led his team with 23 points to win Game 2, 105-90. Phoenix, now back at home, held Boston scoreless for nearly 5 minutes in the second period as they went to a 16-point lead. Then the Suns' Ricky Sobers and Boston's Kevin Stackham got into a fistfight and were both ejected. Alvin Adams had a 33-point, 14-rebound double-double to lead the Suns to a 105-98 win. Game 4 saw the first ever NBA game played in the month of June. The Suns were able to tie the series 2-2, powered by Paul Westphal's 28-point performance. Game 5 saw triple overtime as the Celtics surged out to a 36-18 lead after one quarter and led 42-20 early in the second, with John Havlicek starting for the first time all series, scoring 19 of his team's points. But the Suns managed to tame Havlicek and come back, pushing OT. A wild set of occurrences happened in these OTs. Let me know if y'all want me to cover the whole story, ultimately ending with a 128-126 win. Game 6 saw the Celtics coming together offensively and defensively. Charlie Scott led the way with 25 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 steals, and JoJo White scoring 15, giving him 130 points in 6 games. Boston won 87-80 and wrapped up their playoff run with a chip. JoJo White was named the Finals MVP, averaging 22.7 points per game, 5.4 assists per game, and 3.9 rebounds per game. Spa World, that's wraps on today's episode of NBA Wrapped. I hope y'all enjoyed. Leave a like, hit that sub button if you new. If you learned something new, you have to. You just have to. And if you want to learn more ball, you can do that right there.